said that they are formed because of the Teti Sea or the deposition of all that. And then we discussed about the three divisions of the Himalayas, that is the Himadri, Himachal, and the Shivaliks, I said. And Himadri has highest mountains going above 6,000 meters above the sea level. And you have some of the important peaks like Mount Everest and other peaks are located. Then we also discussed about the Himachal, where you have a number of hill stations that are present over there. And then we also discussed about the Shivaliks. We also talked about the dunes, that is the Dehradun, the Patli Dun, and the other dunes we talked about. And apart from that, we also talked about the regional divisions of the Himalayas also, where I mentioned about the what do you call it as the Punjab Himalayas, then you have the Brahmaputra ranges and all that. I don't want to go into the details because I've done a lot about this, because I don't want to waste the time again. I just want to recap. Any doubts you have, you can ask me, or otherwise we'll go through that. And we also talk about certain hills like the Patkai hills, the Naga hills, Manipuri hills, and the Mizo hills also, which are present as such. So these are all Purvanchal and all that we discussed about it. Any doubts you want to ask, you can ask me, or can I continue with the other physical features?
Students, hello?
Are you there, children?
Yes, ma'am. No doubts.
No doubts? Can I continue with the other features, ma'am? Physical features? Today
Yes,
also
ma'am.
I'll share my screen and I will just go through that so that it is easy for you to understand instead of me talking orally like that, because this is geography. It becomes tough to understand also actually. Usually I use a map and I teach in the class, but that is not possible. So I'll just show the PPT, and then if you want, you can go through a number of videos are there. You can go through the YouTube videos. You have number of PPTs and all that. So just I'll share my screen and then I'll just try to explain it in detail with regard to the other physical features that are there. Okay, just a second. Yeah. So you can see this. So we'll start with the second feature, which is called as a northern plain. Can you see the screen, my everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll start with the second one, which is called as the northern plains of our country. The northern plains are considered to be the most fertile plains, considered to be the most densely populated areas also, both agriculturally, industrially, commercially, everything. That means they are at a great advantage as such. Now, what made them so popular? Why are they so densely populated? Is that because they are formed by three major river systems, that is the Ganga, the Indus, and the Brahmaputra. These are also called as the Himalayan rivers also. Okay. The deposition of alluvium. Alluvium is a sand which is considered to be very, very fertile and considered to be very good for growing the crops. Wherever you have alluvial soils, maybe in your earlier classes you have learnt about various types of soils that are present in our country. The first one we talk about is the alluvial soil, followed by the black soil, then followed by the red soil, laterite, and all these. The fertility decreases as such, but alluvial soils are considered to be the best soils. So this deposition of alluvium at the foothills of Himalayas over the millions of years have formed this fertile plain. So how did the northern plain come into existence? Is that this is a sentence you will write. That means whenever an MCQ is asked, how is the northern plain formed, means you will say that the deposition of alluvium by the three rivers of Ganga, Indus, and the Brahmaputra has led to the formation of the northern plain. Now, the most important thing in geography you have to learn is that the elevation, then the area that is spread, and the width. For these three, you should be very, very careful when you're writing the numbers. Numbers are very important. Don't try to write wrong things or appropriate also. Exactly, you should write, because they give this geographical measurements. They are just like your maths formula. You cannot change them. Okay. The plane is 2,400 kilometers long and 240 to 320 kilometers broad. Not abroad, children, it is broad. Okay. And a densely populated physiographic division. So the length is 2,400 kilometers, breadth is, that is 240 to 320 kilometers. This you remember. This numbers you have to remember. The riverine islands are formed in the lower courses. Riverine islands means which is covered by water on three sides is called as a riverine island. So Majuli is one of the important ones you talk about. So riverine islands are formed in the lower courses due to the gentle slope as the velocity of the river decreases. So as the river flow decreases, it will form a number of islands over there. You must have learnt about island and all these definitions in the lower classes. So these are the riverine islands. The rivers in the lower course split into channels known as the distributaries. You all know that every river has so many distributaries. When it branches out, when in the flow of it, when it is obstructed by something, it gets divided. When it divided, it is called as a distributary. Am I clear with this point, children? Yes, ma'am? Can I change?
Yes, ma'am.
Then coming to the divisions of the northern plain. So that is the formation. You call it as a geological formation of that. Then you talk about the divisions of the northern plains. The northern plain is mainly divided into three sections. Remember these three. Punjab plains, that is the western part of the northern plain formed by the Indus and its tributaries. You all must be knowing where does Indus flow. Indus mostly flows in the Pakistan. The majority of its flows in Pakistan and its tributaries are flowing in India, that is in Punjab. That's why Punjab is called as Punjab. Pan means 5 rivers. It is a combination of 5 rivers, that is the tributaries of the Indus. The larger part of it lies in Pakistan. The Indus and its tributaries, that is the Jhelum, the Chenab, the Ravi, the Beas and the Sutlej. Remember, these are the 5 tributaries with which Punjab is formed. That's why it's called as Punjab. Punjab means 5 rivers. Okay, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, and the Sutlej. They originate in the Himalaya. Indus originates from the Himalayas, and that is why the tributaries also come from there. Then comes the Ganga Plains. The Ganga Plains extends between Gaggar and the Teesta rivers. This is very important. These two words you have to remember. It extends between the Gaggar and the Teesta rivers, spreading over the states of Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar, West Bengal, and Assam lies in the Brahmaputra plains. So Assam is always to the Brahmaputra. So actually Ganga and the Brahmaputra, they merge and they flow in Brahmaputra, which is called as a Padma river. When I'm teaching about the rivers, all these will come once again. When I talk about the rivers, I'll tell you that Ganga and the Brahmaputra will join and they form Padma river and flow in Assam before they join the Bay of Bengal. That explanation will come in reverse when I'm explaining. So this part you remember as plain. So one is the Punjab plain, which is formed by the Indus and its tributaries, and Ganga will be spreading between Gaggar and the Teesta rivers, and which are the states: Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar, West Bengal, and Assam. Am I clear with this? So you can see this is what you call it as the northern plains, very fertile rivers with all the agriculture, maximum agriculture you can find in Punjab and Haryana. You know that how rich they are in the wheat producing states. They are also called as the wheat bowls of India also. Okay. Then coming to the structure of the northern plains, how do they appear? So when you are reading all these are the points. Geological formations, then you talk about the division of the plains, then you talk about the structure of the plains. That means their composition, how do they appear? In geography, when you talk about structure is very important. How do they appear? Each and every physical feature, are they rugged? Are they elevated? Are they sloping? Are they having a flat land, table land, or these are the structures when you are describing in geography. Each and every physical division has its own way. Like for example, if you take Himalayas are the loftiest, longest, rugged topography, you call it as. When you come to the plains, you call them as a flat lands, fertile lands, composed of so many types of soils, alluvial soils, pebbles, and all that you talk about. Now, the northern plains are described as having flat lands with no variations in it. That means usually they are very flat. They don't have any divisions. They don't have a rugged topography. They don't break anywhere at all. But the plains has diverse relief features which can be divided into 4 regions. Though they are considered to be flat, they have certain relief features. Relief here refers to that the appearance of the plains. One is called as Babar. Rivers descending from the Himalayas deposit width lying parallel to the Shivalik. So where is Babar? The question asked in your exams will be, where does Babar lie? Or the belt of Babar lie is that it lies parallel to the Shivaliks. How is it formed? It is formed by the pebbles which are deposited by the rivers coming from the Himalayas. These 2 points you have to remember. More than that, not required for you. Second one is called as the terai. All the streams disappear. That means all these streams which are flowing from the Himalayas, after depositing the pebbles, they disappear in the Babar belt. South of the belt, again, after disappearing, moving to the south, they again re-emerge and create a wet, swampy and marshy region known as the terai. What is a swampy region? Is that where it is filled up with water, with so many trees and other things which are found, which is called as the Sundarbans, and all that will come as examples for this terai. Okay, they are called as the swampy and the marshy region. You must have heard about Sundarbans. Yes, ma'am. Have you heard about your Sundarbans? Hello.
Yes, ma'am, we heard.
Where is it? Which state?
West Bengal.
West Bengal. Very good. And why? How did they get that name called as Sundarbans? You all know that?
Yes, ma'am, the Sundarban trees.
Yes, Sundari tree. It is not Sundarbans tree. It is Sundari tree. It is called as Sundari tree. That is how they got the name called as Sundarbans. Okay. Then the third one is called as the Bhangar. Bhangar is the largest part of the plain is formed by older alluvium. Now, when you're talking about the alluvium, there are 2 types of alluvium. Older alluvium and the newer alluvium. Newer alluvium is called as Khadar. Older alluvium is called as Bhangar. This differences you should know. Old is Bhangar, new is Khadar. Okay. They lie above the floodplains of the rivers and present a terrace-like feature. That means they appear in the form of a step-like culture. This is called as Bhangar. That is called as a relief feature, you call it as. This part is known as Bhangar, which contains calcareous deposits locally known as the Kankar. So what is Kankar? Means it contains calcareous deposits which are called as Kankar. Kankar it is called as. Khadar, the newer, younger deposits, the floodplains are called Khadar. They are fertile as they are renewed every year. Now, Bhangar is that which have been deposited from millions of years ago. They are the same. The soil does not change. Whereas Khadar changes because every year, whenever there is a flood, the rivers come and deposit the newer alluvium. So they are always renewed. So Khadar deposits are considered to be the fresher ones and the present ones as such. Am I clear with the structure of the northern plains? They are flat, no variations, but there are 4 relief features. What are they? Babar, Therai, Bhangar, Khadar. What is Babar? It is a deposition of the pebbles brought down by the rivers, forming a narrow belt of which is opposite to the or parallel to the Shivaliks. One word, one line, you should be able to register what is that feature. So when a MCQ is asked, immediately you should find that particular word. Where is it? Usually MCQs are very tricky, children. They're very nearer on answers, but you should know the exact answer because all the 4 options sometimes they look very similar, but a slight difference will be there which you should be able to know. So unless you know what is that feature exactly, you will not be able to differentiate. So be very careful when you're writing the structure of the northern plains. They're very tricky. Am I clear with this? Okay. Then comes the next feature. So this is as far as the northern plains is concerned. Okay. Anything else I left out? Okay, no, nothing else. Okay. So one more 2 points are there, children. Actually, there is something called as Dob. Dob is actually found in Punjab. Okay. So the bees and the Sutlej originate. The section is dominant. That means the region between the bees and the Sutlej river, you have something called as Dobs. DOAB. Do means to, do. Actually, dob it is. Do means to. Ab means water. Okay. Do water, that means bees and Sutlej. That they are called as dobs. DOAB. That is one feature. Okay. The other one we talk about is that there is something called as Dudhwa National Park also, which is there in this region only. That is in the Therai region, which is popular for its wildlife sanctuaries and other things. So Dudhwa National Park is also one of the things. Am I clear with the northern peninsula? Yeah. Coming to the peninsular plateau. Now, peninsular plateau is that, we'll go with the explanation part. This is the geological formation. It is a tableland. Remember that it appears like this. That means you cross a line at from Gujarat. Below Gujarat, if you take that line, you can draw one line like this and make it as a table. So it is like a triangle, a tableland composed of old crystalline, igneous, metamorphic rocks. These three are very important because peninsular plateau is formed out of a volcanic eruption. Now, when you talk about volcanoes only, the thing called as igneous lava, you call it as, which comes out and settle down. After it cools, it becomes into igneous and metamorphic rocks. That is how the peninsular plateau has come into existence. It is formed due to the breaking and drifting of the Gondwana land, which I explained during the time of the Himalayan formation. The entire Pangaea, we call it as, there are 7 continents which are come together, which is called as the Gondwana land. And because of the drifting of the plates, all these continents have come into existence. It has broad and shallow valleys and rounded hills. Okay. The plateau consists of 2 broad divisions. Once again, you talk about divisions: Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. Deccan Plateau is where we live. The entire thing, that is a Telangana, Andhra, when you talk about, all these will come under the Deccan Plateau. Part of the peninsular plateau lying to north of Narmada River, covering large area of Malwa Plateau, is known as the Central Highlands. So this location you should remember. Where do you find this? Is that it is, and where are Central Highlands is? It is lying to the north of the Narmada River, where you have the Malwa Plateau. That is what you call it as a Central Highlands. Am I clear with this peninsular plateau? Okay. Now, coming to Central Highlands, the Vindhya, have you heard about the Vindhya Satpura ranges, children? Have you heard about these 2 names of Vindhya and the Satpura? Okay. The Vindhyan range is bounded with Central Highlands on the south and the Aravallis on the northwest. Northwest is which state? Which state will come northwest? What are the states on northwest of India? Yes, children. Gujarat, Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, all these are called as the northwest.
Please answer
States.
the questions.
So
Be
the
active so that you
yeah,
can
you
understand.
answer again. Otherwise, I don't know whether you are following me or not. You should be say simple questions. You can say, Jillian, whether it is wrong or no problem. You just give me the answers. I will correct it. No problem for me. It should be interactive, children. Okay. So the Vindhyan range is bounded with the Central Highlands on the south and the Aravallis on the northwest. The Aravallis are considered to be the oldest young fold mountains, and the new fold mountains are the Himalayas. The Himalayas are the young foldest mountains. Aravallis and the Appalachians in Europe are considered to be the old fold mountains, oldest fold mountains they are. The westward extension gradually merges with the sandy and the rocky desert of Rajasthan. What is the desert in Rajasthan? Desert in Rajasthan.
Thar desert.
Thar desert. The Thar desert is the desert. So this westward extension of the Central Highlands will merge with the Thar desert in Rajasthan. Rivers like the Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa and Ken is from the southwest to northeast, indicating the slope. So southwest is that from where we are originating. We are talking about south here refers to that from the Odisha part we talk about. From there it goes to the northeast. Northeast is all the seven sisters, we call it as the northeastern states of our country. The high lines are wider in the west, narrow in the east. So they are very wide in the western part of our country, and as they move towards the east, they become very, very narrow. The width will become narrower. The eastward extensions of the plateau are called as the Bundelkhand and the Baghelkhand, which are found in Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Jharkhand, all these areas. You find these areas. Chota Nagpur plateau marks the eastward extension drained by the Damodar river. Damodar is also called as the river of, can anyone complete? It has a title. It is called as the river of sorrow. It is called as the river of sorrow because it causes lots of floods. Okay. So the Chota Nagpur plateau marks the eastward extension drained by the Damodar river. So all these you have to learn, children. When you are talking about geography, you should be perfect in putting the where are they located. So Vindhya range is bounded by Central Highlands and Aravalis. Two things you have to remember. One is on the south, the other one is on the northwest. Then you have the westward extension, which is merging with the Thar Desert in Rajasthan. Then you have the rivers. Sometimes I will ask you the names of the rivers which are indicating the slope are the Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa, and the Ken. Okay. And the eastward extensions are called as these two are very important. Locally, they are called as Bundelkhand and Bhagelkhand. Okay, once you can go through the entire atlas and all that, children, when you have the India map also you can take into consideration, which are called as the Bundelkhand and the Bhagelkhand regions also you call it as. Okay, just go through that map once again, then you can get it. Can I move to the next slide? So this is the Narmada river, this is the Chota Nagpur plateau you call it as. Okay, and then these are all the falls you talk about. Okay. Then coming to the Deccan plateau. Now the Deccan plateau is also called as the triangular landmass. So triangular landmass means like I was talking about the entire tableland. You draw a triangle, okay, entirely. It lies to the south of the Narmada river. Where is Narmada river, by the way? Which state is Narmada river?
Gujarat.
Very good. So lies to the south of the river Narmada, you have the Deccan Plateau. Satpura flanks it in the north. Mahadeo, Kaimur Hills, and the Maikal range form its eastern extensions. These are all the extensions that I talked about Vindhya over there. So Vindhya is with the central lands, Satpura is with the Deccan Plateau. Remember that point. Don't confuse. Satpura for Deccan Plateau. Then you have you call it as the Deccan Plateau. That means you have the Satpura range here, and you also have the hills. I already mentioned in the introduction the geological formation that it has a number of hills that are present. So what are the important hills is that you have the Mahadeo Hills, the Kaimur Hills, and the Maikal range. They form the eastern extensions. Okay, the plateau is higher in the west and slopes towards the east. Okay, that's why all the rivers will be flowing towards the Bay of Bengal. Bay of Bengal is in the east. Okay, an extension of the plateau in the northeast is locally known as the Meghalaya. That means extension of the Deccan Plateau is towards the Meghalaya, and there is something called as Karbi Anglong Plateau. You have to remember this. This is asked a number of times in UPSC. What is Karbi Anglong Plateau? Where does it is found? It is in the Meghalaya. It is an extension of the Deccan Plateau. In any manner they can ask you. Okay, extension of the plateau in the northeast. Which extension? The Deccan Plateau extension in the northeast is called as the Meghalaya, and you also have something called as Karbi Anglong Plateau and North Kachar Hills, Char. All these hills names you have to remember. Mahadeo, Kaimur, Maikal. Then you have the Karbi Anglong Plateau. Okay. And it is separated by a fault from the Chota Nagpur Plateau. So the Deccan Plateau is only separated by a small fault, a small fault line you call it as. Gharo, Kansi, Jaintia hills are the prominent hill ranges from west to east. They will be spreading from west to east, means all these are found usually in Meghalaya. You call it as the Khasi Hills. In Khasi Hills, you have the world's wettest place, which is the name. Can anyone tell me? In Khasi Hills, you have the world's second wettest place. That means it receives the highest rainfall. Can anyone tell me?
Highest rainfall. You should be able to please tell this.
Jog Falls.
Hey,
Himalaya.
I'm asking you the name of the place which receives the highest rainfall, ma.
Chirapunji.
Mausoleum.
Moss syndrome. It is
Mossy.
called as Moss syndrome. Moss syndrome. Actually, it was Chirapunji first, but now it is Moss syndrome, followed by Chirapunji. They receive about 400 and above, 1100 centimeters of rainfall or above that they receive every year. So that is called as the wettest place as such, Moss syndrome and Chirapunji. They are located in Khasi Hills in Meghalaya. Because of that, they receive so much of heavy rainfall. Am I clear with this locations still in all these? Garo, Kasi, Jaintia Hills, Mahadeo, Kaimur, Maikal ranges. Then we also talked about Karbi, Anglong Plateau and North Kachar Hills also. Am I clear with this? This is a Deccan Plateau. You can see this is a Deccan trap, you call it, as they formed in this manner only. Everywhere you find this rocky formations because it is formed out of a volcanic eruption. That is the reason why they appear like this, the Deccan Plateau. Mostly they are formed of igneous and metamorphic rocks, I said. So this is the appearance. This is called as a Deccan trap. And mostly it is the black soil you found over there. Okay. So coming to the next important part in Deccan Plateau we talk about is the Western Ghats. These are all called as the Western Ghats. The Deccan Plateau is flanked by two, the Western Ghats on the west and the Eastern Ghats on the east. These are another important prominent features of the Deccan Plateau. Okay. Now the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats will be marking the western and the eastern edges of the Deccan Plateau. Western Ghats lie parallel to the western coast. They are continuous and cannot be crossed. See, Western Ghats are very continuous ranges. There are no divisions for them. So how do you cross them? So there are three important gaps. They are called as Thal Ghat. It is T children, not J. THAL, Thal Ghat, Bor Ghat, Pal Ghat. You must have heard about Pal Ghat. Where is Pal Ghat? Which state? Any guesses? Pal Ghat is in Kerala. Pal Ghat it is called as Thal Ghat, Bor Ghat and Pal Ghat. Okay, these are the ghats. So Western Ghats can be entered. That means you can enter into them or cross them only through these passes. Like I told you, in Himalayas also we have the Khyber Pass and the Bolan Pass. How did the travelers enter India? Is that they used to enter through the passes because they cannot cross the Himalayas, they cannot climb the Himalayas. They used to enter India through the passes like Khyber Pass and the Bolan Pass. Same way here also, if you want to cross the Western Ghats, you have to cross through the Ghats. They are higher than the Eastern Ghats and an average elevation is 900 to 600 meters against 600 meters of Eastern Ghats. So Eastern Ghats only raise up to 600, whereas they will cross up to 1600. They begin from Kandesh and run close and parallel to west coast for 1600 kilometers up to Kanyakumari. That means they start from the Kandesh, here refers to that it is coming from Maharashtra, and then it comes till the Kanyakumari. Kanyakumari is a tip part, we call it as. In the south, the Nilgiris join the Sahyadris. Doda Betta peak situated in Ooty is the highest peak in the Nilgiris. You must have heard about the Nilgiris. This also number of times they've asked. Doda Betta. Sometimes they're asking the height also. 2637 meters. Peak situated in Ooty is the highest peak in the Nilgiris. Southwards across the Palghat Gap, forested and steeply rising hills from the Western Ghats, which include the Annamalai Hills, the Palani Hills, and the Cardamom Hills. Annaimudi in Annamalai of Kerala is the highest peak in the Peninsular Plateau. So Doda Betta is the peak which is highest in the Nilgiris. Then you have the Annaimudi, which is the highest peak in the Peninsular Plateau. So what are the points you'll be learning here is that Western Ghats can be crossed only by, what are the passes I said? Repeat the passes.
Names of the passes. It's given in the slide, children.
Palghat,
Hmm.
Borghat and Talghat. Thal, Bol and Bhor and Palghats. Okay, height is 900 to 1600 and in Eastern Ghats is 600. They begin from Kandesh and they run up to Kanyakumari. Then in the south, the Nilgiris join the Sahyadris. Doda Betta is the highest peak. Then you have the Anaimudi peak, which is the highest peak in the Peninsular Plateau. So if they ask a question which is the highest peak in the Peninsular Plateau means you will write Anaimudi. If they say which is the highest peak in the Nilgiris means you have to write Doda Betta. One for the other, if you write, then the entire geography goes wrong. Understood?
1 minute, Shyamala Ma'am. We will join once again.
Okay. I have to go back. Stop sharing, I should do.
No need.